Okay, well, first of all, just want to be happy and grateful that we're able to hold this meeting on the territory of the Yucatan people, but also that the OCP project has been a great experience for us in working with Yucatan, with Tokwa and Clovis really close. So this has been a healthy experience for that, and really the first of the 6 OCPs to really have that engagement focused or engagement forward focus, and very much grateful to have the capacity to do that now. So yeah, and then also just want to give notice to everybody here and anybody watching online that the meeting is being recorded. It's also being live streamed on the ACRD YouTube page, and we are archived afterwards as well. Thought we'd do a round of intros. We got some new staff here, and we got some members of the public as well. So just so everybody knows who I am, I'm Alex Dyer. I'm the General Manager of Planning and Development with the ACRD. And we'll go to you.
Sherman Harrison for the ACRD Planning Assistant.
I'm Kylie Pettifer. I'm the Community Project and Engagement Manager at the ACRD. So I am the new one in the room. So it's nice to meet the folks that are here and anyone who's watching online. And my role is to oversee our OCP process. So not just with Area C, but with our other ones that we're going along with as well.
I'm Janet Busby. I'm a resident of Millstream and to sit on this board.
Me, I'm a member of the public. Oh, my name is Frank Limshu. I'm manager of planning for Mosaic Forestry and Coubertin Realty, and a member of the public.
I'm Veda Siga. I'm the director for Area C of the Alberta Clackamas Regional District.
I'm Nikki Ling. I'm a member of the APC and I'm a resident over in Tattoo Bay.
I'm Nick Heich and I'm a member of the public, but I own Surf Junction Campground out in Area C.
Thank you. And Kel online.
Yeah, I'm Kel Roberts, alternate director for VIDA and Area C.
Awesome.
And I'm resident of Salmon Beach.
Can you hear us all right? How's the audio in the room?
Yeah, it's not too bad. A little shaky, but not bad. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you just fine. Yeah, thank you. Awesome. Well, thank you, everybody. We do have Julie Edwards is showing up in about half an hour here, so that's one more member. But we do we're one short on quorum right now. So so everybody knows once Julie's here, then we will have a quorum. But happy to have a good discussion. We only have the one item on the agenda, and everybody knows what that is, of course, and it's our Area C OCP project. This has been something that has been I don't want to say beaten to death, but it's been looked at very closely by our staff, and we're super excited to finally have a draft for you to review, and then hopefully you've had the chance to look through it online. I see some dog-eared copies, so that's always nice to see, and we have the maps online as well. And Kel, if you are looking for that, it is linked on our website if you're looking for the maps or the text. But we want to just kind of walk you through how we got to this point, what the OCP is, a reminder of that, and then look at some of the key aspects that have changed from the current OCP, which was, as we all know, a 2007 document, and a lot has changed in the community, and hopefully the plan reflects that. So I will pass it over to Kylie. We don't have a chairperson for this committee, or we haven't elected one. Oh, we have Terry Graff joining us online here too, so that's great. Hi, Terry. Does somebody want to volunteer to be the chair?
I can do it, but it's a little hard with. Yeah, okay.
All you gotta do is just pass it back to us.
Okay.
Thank you.
Passing over to Alex.
Yeah. As long as everybody's okay with that, that'd be Nikki's volunteering to chair the meeting.
I've lost anything to do with chairing. It's just
Okay.
all out of my brain.
Okay. I don't mind.
You wanna just run us through the approval of the agenda? That sort
Okay.
of stuff?
Yeah, so what I do, okay, so we had the call to order. I couldn't tell you what time, so I wasn't looking. The approval agenda is everybody in favour? So Janet is happy. Yeah, thank you, Vader. Can Vader vote? I had this trouble with her at secret.
No.
I'm supposed to the listen.
I have to tell her, sit on her hand.
You got fast hands.
Cal and Terry, are you okay? Do you approve the agenda? Are they waving?
Yeah, they are, sorry. Yeah,
Okay.
you can't see that. I was-
Okay, the next item on our agenda then is declarations of conflict of interest. Do we have them?
Not seeing any.
Let's see that Janet doesn't have any. So the minutes, are available in your package. Is everybody okay with those from our last meeting? When was that? Back in December, December the 1st. Any amendments or changes or updates or anything like that anyone wants to bring forward? Are they happy online?
Good, yeah. See some ones.
Okay, great, thank you very much. And so now I'm going to pass it back to Alex for our planning reports.
Absolutely, thank you. And I'm gonna bounce off me and go right
You
to
just bring it to me.
Okay, over there.
Wonderful. Okay, it feels like a very long time for me getting to this point, and I know it's been much longer for Julie, because I only started in September. So, very excited to share this Area C draft plan with you and hear your thoughts. So this draft is coming after conversations we've had with community, organizations, with committees, as well as with you all. So thank you so much. We hope that, what is important has been considered in this plan. And that it will reflect the visions that all community members have had when they've made their voices heard. A bit about the process you guys have been through at this point. We've had opportunities to hear from folks through both in-person and online attendance, at meetings, at open houses, at other public events. We also have had 2 surveys that the community has contributed their thoughts through. And we've also had the participation from other more formal groups. We've spoken to Island Health, we've spoken to the Clackamas Biosphere Trust. So we hopefully have covered a broad range of everyone that we would hope to have for this project. I do want to just remind people that an OCP is a high-level policy document. And so while we have made every effort to include the things that we've heard, there may have been pieces where there was a consensus or feedback was too specific for what this particular document is asking for. And so in those cases, we've made note of where other bylaws, like updates to the zoning bylaw or the implementation of a floodplain bylaw, would be the better option to provide that further guidance. So we hope that that is clear within the structure of how this has been built. This draft has been shared in its entirety with all of you. So I hope you've had a chance to go through it. I see, yeah, lots of dog-eared notes and copies, and I love that. But because this is a very big document, we're not gonna like go line by line through it. So we're gonna hopefully focus mainly on sections 4, 5, and 7. Of course, if you have comments about other sections, we'll be happy to take those, but we're probably gonna fly a little bit faster through those ones before digging into those pieces. So yeah, we're happy to address any of your comments about other sections, but just to focus on conversation a little bit today. We also have the maps. We printed them out for you. They should also be available online for those folks that are joining us virtually. And so when you're looking at the maps, the schedules are the maps that have the different neighborhoods in them. So those 5 neighborhoods, Millstream, Atatsu Bay, Salmon Beach, Port Albion, and the Junction. Anything that is labeled as a map is just Area C, sort of as its whole. So on this table, you'll notice when you turn these, it's not the same map. It is the second part of, in this case, the Junction in that one. But these ones are all maps of the area and its entirety. So we'll jump into those a little bit more, but just so folks are understanding a bit why some are labeled as schedules, some are labeled as maps. That also impacts the ability to change them, etc., through policy. So that is that. Any questions up front before we jump in? No. Perfect. Alrighty. So when we go through our document, we will just go through it in order. I think that's probably the easiest thing to do. So this first section here is really to help folks understand what is in the document, how it's laid out. We have our land acknowledgement. We also have the tables of contents, the figures, definitions that you will find throughout. So if you're looking at something and you're like, what is a dock? This will explain what a dock means. So that's there to help you hopefully as you're going through it. We also have some abbreviations, so anywhere where we have tried not to use full terminology throughout the whole thing, those abbreviations are there just to help you out in case you need.
Can I, sorry, is it okay to just jump in?
Of course, yeah.
I do have like one question about a definition, and it's one that was missing, and I know I get asked about this one by my neighbours and community, is what's the definition of a community gathering space? It would be really helpful, because we've got community gardens and all those sorts of ones, but a community gathering space, there were some questions about what that was, and I just, a place where the community gathers, and that's probably not the official version.
Okay, perfect, yeah, we can definitely add that into the definition. And we'll see.
For emergency. Yeah, that was much gonna come up there, emergency planning as well, it would be useful.
Emergency planning.
Well, no, to have a, to understand what
clear.
community
Oh,
gathering
yeah.
space is for emergency planning.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, we can definitely look at that one and we'll see where we're using it in the plan to make sure it's all lined up with that. Feature.
There's a date on. For your paper section, page 8. Thank you. On page 8, did it mean 2051? Or is that just
Likely it is.
typo?
That's the vision statement.
Whatever, it's just kind of like if it's a typo.
No, so yeah, so when this is the version that was approved by the board. And so that's why language wasn't changed. I also think it is perhaps kind of an odd year to have selected for that. I think it was meant to be 25 years, and because it's 2026, that puts it at 2051. But I think we have already looked at changing that in the new,
Okay, good.
in the next version of it.
No,
But
I just thought if it goes out to the public, they
Yeah.
will have the same, what?
Yeah, I did the same thing the first time I read it, and I believe we have updated that since.
Good.
Yeah, since.
If you
it
look at
went
the
out.
Mill Stream and the Sand Beach ones, it references over the next 25 years, so I think that's what it's.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll.
Oh, and they
standardize
printed
that.
it out as opposed to that.
I think that's
yeah.
what GRN.
And,
Thank
yeah,
you.
and
Yeah.
tax base, I think.
Okay, yeah, got it.
Okay,
Sorry.
no, perfect.
And
These are honestly in a document this long, we love any level of detail.
Yeah, I figured-
Of
Could I add something?
course.
I don't know if I'm jumping the gun or not, but on page 24, it says that Salmon Beach allows short-term rentals. So near the bottom on the right-hand side in a little box.
Page 24
Page 24.
of the document, probably. Not supposed to say that, that's for sure.
Where's that?
We haven't got a little.
We
box.
haven't gotten up there yet, so maybe we'll
Okay,
pause in.
So
sure.
Oh,
page 24.
Here it
yeah,
is.
Page 12.
Page
Okay,
12.
perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Wonderful.
Salmon Beach, here it is.
Yeah, no, that's a great catch, Terry. It's not intended, I mean, it's supposed to be seasonal vacation
Yes, didn't,
uses.
Yeah.
And not short-term rentals. We can clarify that.
And does Salmon Beach allow long-term rentals? Like, I thought no rentals were allowed at Salmon Beach at all.
Well, long-term, like in the zoning, long-term rentals can't be restricted. It would be the same thing that a house would have. Now, Sand Beach is a little bit different because you can't live there permanent, right? So, yeah, I think that's up for debate in the zoning bylaw. I'm not sure if we can restrict that. I don't know if anybody actually does that, right? You have to rent it out to one family for the entire.
with house
season.
housing.
Yeah, you can't live there anyways,
So
but,
like 3 months and 3 months over up to 6 months.
yeah.
is considered long-term?
It would be, I think over a month would be, you know, a residence would be considered long-term.
Okay,
How it relates to seasonal residents, that would be one I'd wanna look at
Mhm.
more closely. Thanks, Jared.
okay, thank you.
And also on that page, under the rural designation, Itaxi Bay Uplands would be rural and Itaxi Bay Midlands would be residential. Under the residential box, you've got Itaxi Bay, but that doesn't apply to the whole of Itaxi Bay, that only applies to Midlands.
Gotcha.
And then rural would be Itaxi Bay Uplands. We have different zoning.
Mhm.
Yeah. Appreciate that.
And like, I was just wondering if, like, because we don't have housing out the highway, does that mean we're limiting housing out towards Port
Because it's not designated residential, you mean along the.
Yeah.
Border?
Since this is like a longer term.
It is a long-term vision and there's no privately owned land in there, but if there was a situation where the crown was making land available for housing, we could always do an OCP amendment. Like this doesn't,
Okay, gotcha.
yeah, this doesn't restrict that, you know, for the life of the plan. I think right now it's not something that's earmarked for the community just because it's not available, right?
Okay.
But certainly, you know, as we might see some of the mosaic lands development, for example, there could be some residential uses there. And that would all be a rezoning.
We would be
Yeah,
amending
we
the
would be coming
OCP
back
as
to
well.
this
or
table
just-
to amend the OCP.
Okay, gotcha.
And going through a rezoning application to reflect that.
And then just one more.
Yeah.
So. On Highway 4, there's those 5-acre lots. Like south of the junction towards Millstream. Right? And those would be considered rural, not residential,
The 5 acre lots like off Thornton Road, is that what you're?
just along the highway, like there's quite a few
Gotcha, yes.
ones there, so they would be considered rural.
Yeah, what do we have them in?
I was just wondering about densification in those,
They're residential.
they are residential.
Yeah,
You mean at the bottom of Willowbrae out toward,
So like where Julia's and.
yeah, there's all different types of acreages there. I think it's from, I think the larger lots are from Willowbrae to the junction.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Okay, yeah.
and they're all designated as residential in OCP, so they're.
Okay, so they can have densification, okay.
I
Thank
think
you.
that's what we heard.
I had a
from
question
people,
about
like,
that, so.
Yeah. Concentrating new housing in areas where housing's existing already, right?
And has the services as long as it, okay, good, so that would be residential,
Hmm.
thank you.
Perfect. Before we jump into section 4, which is designated as probably conversation, I just wanted to make sure nothing before section 4 anybody wanted. So part 1 is basically just the background. It lays out the legislative requirements for the document. And then section 3 just looks a little bit at what was already passed by the board in terms of revision and goal statements. So just wanted to check before we jump into the next section.
I was just wondering if we've got 3.3.8 on page 11.
Mhm.
And you've got collaborate with First Nations, I thought it might be nice to put in, and municipalities.
For sure.
And other appropriate agencies.
Mhm.
If you know me, fluid might not appreciate not being included. But this, what I've got here, I really like all of this. It's really well done.
Perfect. Any other comments to section 4? I can talk a little bit about how it's changed from the last one, if there's any interest in that, but.
Yes,
If you,
please, I'd like to know how it changed.
yeah. For sure, so there aren't a lot of massive changes in terms of the land use designations. You'll see there's some terminology differences. So previously we had 3 different land use types. We had mixed use, light industrial and industrial. So those have been combined. If you wanna move that map up, you can see on the bottom ones. So you'll see those have been combined just into an industry across the different areas. So I think there's maybe one on each map with those. That's just because it's so small, it's just easier to regulate in one area. There have been a couple of things that are just purely name changes, so community services was changed to civic uses. That was just to encompass sort of the wider scope of what is within that section, so that could be anything related to like municipal or regional district like ownership within that. Parks and Rec has been changed to Parks, Trails and Open Space.
Yeah.
And so that represents a little bit more with the fact that there aren't dedicated recreation facilities within Area C. It is more related to parks, trails and open spaces. So we have done that just to align across the plans. And there were some previously like dual named areas. So there was like rural comprehensive, residential comprehensive. Those have just been rolled back into rural and residential.
Okay.
Yeah, so not a lot of like huge changes. It is mainly that one where those three like different land use types have become industry within the plan. As well, our conversations with Colloquiate have led to a conservation area being added to the plan. You will see that it is not currently marked out on the map itself, but that it is included within the legend. That's just because we're working with their GIS person to get a bit more accurate mapping on that. So you'll see that when the job is.
It tends to be a lot.
And is there opportunity to change the zone?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, there could be.
because like this should not be industrial, because this is all,
It's all contaminated.
it is contaminated, but I don't want more industry.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's already
Yes,
contaminated, so.
yeah, and that's where like the trumpeter swans nest, or they
And
land in the
the,
winter.
and the bears eat salmon up there. When
Yeah.
you go in the fall, it's just salmon skin, because they just bring them up there to eat there.
Yeah,
What's it contaminated with?
It used to be Millstream's log sort,
yeah,
and when you walk out there, it's just made on old pieces of machinery and big logs. It's all deteriorating.
Yeah.
But it's, yeah, lots of machinery and no rules for chemicals and,
yeah, they did all of their, like the fixing of the machines right
Yeah.
on the shoreline there.
yeah.
What would you suggest that is, should that be like
That
It should just be preferred,
Conservation.
yeah, conservation for sure, totally preserved.
Yeah, that and that, because this is a creek and that's a creek. That creek isn't even marked on there, is it? There is a creek here.
It might not be on that map, but the one underneath it is all the stream.
This streams that.
That
This
one
one
right
here.
there. So
Okay,
it should
it's
be on
marked
that,
map.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, oh, hang on, no, hang on.
We get you there.
I'm getting confused.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so how do we go about changing that?
We can do it. We can.
Okay,
we're-
so
we're taking-
industrial is now going to be,
Your
a
parks
bird
and
sanctuary?
For conservation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Do you want
perfect,
this
right?
map? So you
It's
can.
not
wanna know
just
which, yeah.
a wildlife preserve, so
Yeah.
the bears, yeah, the bears can eat
No
there.
worries.
Okay, so that point, the old Millstream site has to become, wildlife preserve.
This one?
Yeah.
And
And along the creek up at the end here, yeah,
this up
yeah.
here?
Where's the log sort from there?
It's right in the middle of the industry,
Yeah.
right here.
Okay,
And actually, while we're on that, so we do have,
That's the log sort.
so these maps aren't updated, but we do have the mosaic lands that wrap around the east side of that lot there as comprehensive development in the OCP now, so. And then somewhere of the conservation pieces down towards the Tatsu and Mercantile Creeks where it's a bit steeper.
what about Thornton Creek Hatchery and Mercantile?
Yeah, they would all be protected through. that.
Okay.
Yeah, for
Okay,
sure.
but the one down by, they also go up where, Luke Dolores used to live at.
There's a creek there
With
too.
this purple there as industrial.
That doesn't this part. We get the map.
Bottom, yeah. That's okay, they're all numbered, so we'll find where they are later. Yeah.
So the intention there with that comprehensive development area, you know, it would lead to, if there's a development proposal in the area, we'd be having a specific community conversation right, there'd be a rezoning application with the public hearing included. And we would be encouraging Frank and company to be hosting lots of public meetings, ahead of that, but the idea would be to tailor something specific to that area. And, you know, maintaining some of the existing industrial uses where we can. And then obviously the number one thing would be protection of the hatchery and the sensitive areas in it.
And then Mark, the other two.
It's, oh, the creek's on this one.
No, but just as a wildlife protection area, because I think that's really important.
And then
What's
what's the designation of like resource? What is that? Like the
Yeah,
definition of that?
that's a good question. So the resource, it's
Is it
mostly
alone?
like the forestry land. So
Yeah.
the way we define it allows for forestry activities, agriculture, natural resource extraction, power generation, that sort of thing. Now it was an interesting discussion with Oakwood, because they, in their, the Trevor Park land use plan and their values, indicate that they would like to see conservation around Kennedy Lake. So we, you know, in lands that are mostly crown land in there, we will be updating that resource designation to a conservation designation. The OCP is challenged in its ability to regulate those types of uses, like private managed forest land, for example. We can't include an OCP designation that would stop a private company from logging that or BC timber sales or anything. So,
Yeah.
you know, a lot of the policies are aspirational.
My concern would be the sail along Kennedy Lake for development
Mhm.
or industrial use.
Yeah, so
Logging's,
I do think that the conservation designation would help support highlighting the community's values there, but, you know, if a proposal were to come, the regional district would likely be involved if the province came and said, look, we'd like to develop something. The first people they would talk to would be Quogrit and the other First Nations. I'm sure they would not be supportive of it, but they would also be looking to us in our planning now. So now's the time to get those policies in the document, and we heard other things like no mining in area C as well, so, or in the OCP area, so we have some policies around that. Again, we don't have the ability to say no mining, but we can make those aspirational policies so that when the province is looking at those types of proposals, they can say, well, the community doesn't want it, right? Or the First Nations don't want it, or maybe they do, but you know, now's the time to lay out that, you know, that vision for the community for the next couple decades.
There is the spot around the service spot that's, that is a market resource, I think.
Rural,
Is it rural?
yeah.
Okay. Great.
Mhm.
Then that would be like not being logged.
Yeah. Mhm.
There was a rumor that it was gonna get logged for some people.
Okay, is that the one that's privately owned though? There's a development application on that one. I think that is the best. Is it, not they call it?
The community forest area.
Yeah,
It's just the stuff right along. I mean, I'd have to look at like a satellite map to be sure where it is, but I think it's in this one. Like, cause that's Muscle Beach.
yeah, that's it.
That's what be here,
Oh, okay.
I think, is like it's the top of point goes
Yeah.
into there.
Yeah, so this piece is privately owned, and it's zoned for 5 acre lots.
Yeah.
But beyond that, it's crown land, and it would be, again, that could be a spot where we include some policies in it around like protection of the recreational uses there.
Get that plan,
Yeah. Kind of like,
cause it would most likely win the service spot.
right,
Is like how sand moves and how rivers flow and stuff kind of makes a service spot,
sure.
the stuff on land.
I think there's a whole bunch of stuff at rezoning around that protections as well.
Yeah, so in the property itself, we had a covenant there that requires them to dedicate space for parking and access for, because I mean, there is no public access into there right now, but there is a lot
Yeah,
that's used.
there's a nice parking lot now, that's something they, for sure,
Oh, really?
everyone's thankful for.
Yeah, well, that might have been the owner, I'm not sure, but that is a, you know, they're in the early stages of the development application, but as a condition of that, they would need to make some public access available.
Is that near Muscle Beach? The parking lot down there, because that's
Uh,
community forest.
yeah, yeah,
That parking lot.
that's what I think.
Yeah, it was community forest that put that parking lot in there.
How are they getting the logs out?
I think they were, like, when they logged that section a while ago, that was heli logging.
It was
Oh.
salvage, it was, wind blown and salvage, it
Okay.
wasn't new logging.
Okay, because there's been no boats coming to harbor and all the docks are gone.
That was like a couple of years ago,
Yeah.
when that parking lot was made at least.
Yeah, they're not taking down new stuff in community forest, there's a community forest plan. But that area around, Muscle Beach and Vets and whatever, it's just salvage of stuff that's been blown down. It's a salvage operation, not a clear cut.
It's notes, so we can pinpoint that on that.
Don't map, make a note.
I'm writing notes down
Okay.
as we're talking, yeah.
I've got some notes.
Okay, so
Yeah, as well.
And because I didn't know originally when I looked at it, the Ps all stand for folks that maybe don't know or are looking at the maps online. The Ps stand for potential parkland,
I don't think
Oh.
that
not for
private
parking.
is.
Oh, interesting, okay.
Cause they look exactly
I
like.
think you're right, I think it's,
It's like,
our video there is all,
yeah, like you park like kinda, I would imagine it's like here,
yeah.
and then you, walk in like that way. And the top of the point is probably that private land, but yeah, I heard that there was gonna be some logging in the bay.
Gotcha.
That was just one person sending me a photo of something that might get logged, so. Fit hand at best.
Alrighty, are there any other comments about the designations in section 4? Or we can move into some of the general land use policies.
On page 15, I was just wondering if we could add under like C. Improve resilience and independence. For food security and power generation.
Sorry, under 4.1.3
So
C?
objectives, as an objective, yeah.
Oh, as an objective. okay.
Yeah, that we should
I was like-
improve the resilience of the West Coast, because if we get cut off, having our own food sources and power is gonna be pretty critical. And that means that we're gonna have to be looking at having these types of services out of the tsunami and the inundation. I don't know if everybody agrees, I just kind of think that's kind of,
Yeah,
Not bad.
we might have something about that in
it is in later.
later.
But I
Okay,
just
so we
kind
can
of
bring it
thought,
over
well,
here.
let's just carry it right through.
For sure, perfect.
I don't know if
Yeah.
I mean, it's just something that I kind of.
Yeah, no, we can definitely have that as a common carrying theme throughout.
And then you've got like the wildlife corridors in later, but I thought, under comprehensive development, if you had it under I, if you just ensure existing wildlife corridors, I are identified and incorporated into the green spaces and parklands.
Under
Under-
4.1.3
on page
I?
17,
17, okay.
yeah.
Was which one, sorry?
I just thought, like, you've got it later about the wildlife corridors, and
Okay,
I just thought, like, ensure, existing wildlife corridors are identified and incorporated into green space and parkland planning.
okay,
So you're not doing it back afterwards, where you're saying, okay, well, this is gonna be great for wildlife, but you haven't looked at the wildlife corridors actually over there. And we've got so many migratory birds coming through, and like everything migrates, so identifying those corridors. But it's just making sure it's in the planning stage, not at the end stage, being dropped in.
yeah, we can definitely look at how to best incorporate that.
We have it in our notes, says don't do things fast backwards.
Don't-
That's it, that'll be in the minutes.
I'm sorry.
No, that's. it.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Glad you said it, I'm glad I said it.
Yeah. That's the wrong thing. Sorry.
Any other thoughts around 4.1 or 4.2? No, okay,
No, I
brilliant.
thought it was really good.
So let's move into the core policies then. So we have a number of different policies that cover the main topics that we've heard, speaking with community that are listed here. And so each section, subsection within this section 5 is about one of those topics. So the first topic is on reconciliation, and so just letting you know that we have been in touch with the nations, both around the plan as a whole, as well as asking them specifically about this section. So they are going to provide us with some further comments, so maybe some tweaks on their end. Any comments on your end about section 5.1 here on reconciliation?
Yeah, I'm pleased to see it's in there, because I don't know that it was in there.
Nope, this is the
Previously,
first time
yeah.
we're including
Yeah,
reconciliation
no
in
new
any
things
of our
about in there.
proceedings.
And I'm learning how to pronounce some words just by saying, okay, I know how to say that, so that letter means.
Yeah, we've been able to include a lot of some of their language within this and proper spelling and all sorts of things, so that's really great, so. Looking to conversations with them. So next up, we're at sort of the Parks and Recreation section. So within this section, there are a lot of different sort of divisions of what's happening. So we have talk about planning and design, talk about placemaking, and then talk about recreation as a whole. I believe there's a map. Maybe there's a map. Oh. So just for the folks online, we did have a few more, because we were meeting later than our last meeting was supposed to be at, we do have a few more maps. So those will be, are they already on the show?
Not yet.
No, so those will be added online, when we get back.
Okay.
Okay. Were there any questions related to the Parks and Recreation section?
I just had on page 22,
Mhm.
under the, just the continuation of, ensure that all new park and trail development is designed and constructed with minimal impact on, wildlife corridors
Okay,
and migratory,
yeah,
what are those called when they, like on the,
migration pattern?
yeah, where the birds come and they land
Yeah.
in front of the.
Oh, migratory.
On the mud
birds.
flats, yeah.
Yeah.
Mud flats are, they always land.
And also I'm wondering about in B, if something should be included about maintenance.
Maintenance.
Does that become a
Mhm.
policy?
Oh, and maintenance of the park trails.
Yeah, because if you put up infrastructure and you have to maintain it.
Mhm.
Yeah,
There
okay.
was something in here, I did read the word maintenance.
Is it further on?
I think so.
It's like, it kind of flows as. and
Yes,
if you go into the-
prioritize, on deprioritize maintenance
Okay.
activities and
Okay,
facility
thank you.
improvements.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I didn't read
yeah.
that.
Okay, good, yeah.
No, no
I-
worries.
It
I was
really
also
flowed
like, I
really nicely.
take that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there is some pieces around that as well. We have added in, I believe it's in this section as well, some discussion around accessibility. That has been brought forward as another key area for the board, so we have some things in here as well about just the accessibility. It might not actually be in this section, it might be in a later section.
Yeah, I think I.
I think it was in the emergency management.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
what it is.
Does
so
the
we do have-
accessibility committee have a look at this as well?
Yes.
Okay.
They have. Alrighty, anything else before we pop into the environment section? Alrighty, so the environment section does contain several maps within it. It has the map for drinking water protection, the sensitive marine habitats, as well as sensitive terrestrial habitats. Within it there, and there's lots of policy in here that sort of meets the core desire that was expressed to us by community, which was, core protection and thought for the environment within it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there is hopefully enough language in here. If there's any different language, anything missing, let us know. No.
National environment stuff.
Yeah.
Yes.
With the maps.
Okay.
Is it?
Yes.
it's natural? No, it's not that one yet.
Sorry, all these maps are upside down. It might be this one. Oh, yeah, there it is. I knew they were on here. Yeah, so we have this one is the sensitive marine habitat.
Okay, cool.
This one is the sensitive terrestrial habitat. This one is the drinking water.
Right, see that one?
Absolutely.
Thanks.
This one is for later.
What is critical habitat? What does that encompass?
Yeah, so they're basically, it's like, it's provincial, one of them's provincial.
It says federal.
Yeah, one of them is federal,
Old growth, and then
yeah.
what's federal critical habitat?
So those are kept in basically like a registry by the federal government. We are not able to say specifically what is where, because in some cases it's like an endangered species that potentially people
Like
may
frog
go
pheasant,
specifically
right?
to find said endangered species.
Yeah, okay.
So that's why it's a bit more general like that, and so those are just the resources that we were able to get that information from. In terms of how the federal provincial governments release that information to us.
And we'll have to put some thought into how we present it as well, because it is, how it impacts development is really critical, I think, for what, how the plan is implemented, so. If it's a polygon that shows up on your property, what does that mean? I think we really need to define that so people have some clarity there. Yeah.
So this is,
Wildlife.
well, this is the marine one.
Yeah.
What is that?
Anybody else want to see the marine?
Pick the marine one, yeah.
How up to date is some of this data? Because I know that things like self-storage and stuff are constantly moving and developing and there's lots of work to be established around the coast. But that may not be reflected in that map, because I know there's a lot of work going on in Berkeley Sound around health management.
Yeah, so I know that it is basically just the most updated information we have right now.
So it could be 10 years out of date.
It could,
Yeah.
It could be, yeah.
especially at the granular level, like where they're replanting them and there's those local community projects, it's probably not reflective of that.
Redfish is doing that right now.
Yeah.
They'll have all that data.
Yeah, so if that's something that we get more information on after the OCP goes through, we can decide if changes need to be made.
And we could reach out to Redfish now as well.
Yeah.
They have a huge amount of data. They do a lot of LiDAR work and a lot of other times with mapping and work, as does the aquarium, so. Huge amount of data.
Yeah, I know the sources she has used are on there for those ones, but we can definitely look into, what they're doing for data.
We have worked with the Clackamas Advisory Trust on their sensitive wetland delineation as well, so.
This should all be in the community watershed, because eventually we'll need it.
But do we have definitions for like what a wildlife habitat area is and critical habitat?
Which one's in what? Have you seen it all?
It's up there in Florida.
Yeah.
I don't know what your ones are.
Well, I think it's probably from Barb Beasley, right?
Oh,
She comes in,
amphibians, yeah.
Because that, she comes out every year, counts it off to the place, and then that's. She
So
does
it's
it there
looking
too.
at groundwater
Which is
pathogens
great.
over there, right?
Right.
Just wanna know.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, fair enough.
The
So
lake
we
is not
have
far
it,
away.
it's not on the development permit,
And I think that's-
which is, what is actually.
The like
Rather-
argument around the conservation area for the lake is that it would be a very important
I'll have to spend
specialist
more time.
in the future.
Yes, and I don't wanna.
But you mean, are you
I
talking
just wanted
about
to
Kennedy
talk
Lake?
that.
Mhm.
The district of Ucluelet did a test of the water for Ucluelet, and the water didn't come back adequately. I've been meaning to call Diane when she was mayor to find out what the results are.
Okay.
Because when I worked at the park, it was like shut down, that area was shut down, and Ucluelet, the district was doing some water testing.
Oh, okay. Apparently the bottom part of the lake is saltwater.
It's not good drinking water, like the locals, like the homesteaders and stuff, they all got goiters and things from
Really?
drinking the water.
From drinking from the lake. you
From-
said?
From the
Kennedy
lake,
Lake?
Yeah.
it being its only source, and in, back when, in Millstream, before the water came in, from Thornton, when you went down the hill after you pass Thornton and all the way down to Willowbrae and up until the hill to Millstream, all of the women down there got goiters through the seventies and eighties. Yeah, and it was, remember that? You didn't, you were the only one that didn't. But the water, the well, that was from wells.
Really?
Mhm.
And you said from the junction to Millstream?
From the top of the hill where you turn to Thornton Road.
Oh,
So the water would go down and it was just because it's low and then it goes up from Thornton and it goes low. You go down the hill, then you go up the hill to Millstream. And then it was just that,
okay.
all the houses along there.
Interesting.
It was weird.
But the amount of water is important too, because if you increase
It was their will.
population,
Oh, yeah.
then our wells aren't gonna be enough. And like in Medicine Hat, our water came out of the South Saskatchewan River, which is not good drinking water. But they have this great big plant that
Right.
everybody in town has.
But back in the day, everybody was on wells.
Yeah, yeah. So that's really interesting information.
But, and you were saying the district did water testing,
Oh,
that was for the lake or for?
that was for the lake and
Yeah.
that was probably about 15 years ago.
Yeah,
And I didn't hear anything positive.
yeah, I heard that someone was looking at doing it again, but like, because County Lake's so shallow for so long, like by Swim Beach,
Mhm.
like the infrastructure didn't map to like go out to the lake to do it that way, I guess.
Well, if they're going along the bottom of the saltwater is what I was told. I would be real curious about that.
Mhm. Well, maybe I'll send Diane an email and ask her.
That would be a really good thing. Actually, I can do that. Are you on her email?
Yep.
Okay, good.
I have to say, I do.
Yeah.
This is.
So aside from the maps, is there anything else in the environment section that we want to speak about?
Oh, it's migratory corridors. Took me a while to figure that. That was
Alrighty, if not, we can jump into emergency management. So this section contains pretty much what you think it would for emergency management. Karen has did a lot of work going through this, making sure it had all the pieces in it, who's our protective services manager. Looking at, so you can see a variety of different types of risks evaluated in here. We have wildfire, earthquake and tsunami preparedness, sea level rise, steep slopes. So if there's any questions or comments on that section?
I had a question about the map,
Mhm.
which I can't, where would that one be?
Which one is it?
The,
emergency.
yeah, the emergency one around wildfire.
That's enough. I don't know.
It's circles, is it this one? Yeah, let's.
Well, that's the DPA one, yeah. I did.
Where's the wildfire boundary one? There's something about the density of people living in an area, whether they've got included in a boundary. But I'm thinking for like where I am, I think the density of people living there is more than reflected in your map, so it should be within an area rather than not in an area.
Wildfire, yeah, the wildfire.
Six people per,
Yeah.
yeah,
Those circles.
six people per hectare or something,
Yeah.
or I can't remember what the definition was. But we were sort of kind of not included in the area, but I think there are enough people there. Maybe unofficially, but I think there are enough people that it should be within one of those sort of like residential rings.
Okay.
And so what those are, just so everybody's aware, that's a 5 kilometer radius around settled areas at 6 people per hectare. I think it is.
something.
And so again,
Six
that also
structures.
fits the category of, what do we do with that, right? Because that is most of where all the built environment is. So Does that mean that there's any impact on how people need to manage the fuel loads on their own property? It's hard for us to enforce something like that. I'm not interested in doing that either. So we want to spend some time looking at, what that, is this just to inform people that this is a wildfire risk area? Or is it something that will impact how people use their property?
Yeah, that's kind of my question is like, why are all these other areas circled,
Yeah,
residential areas, and where we are isn't? And what does that mean for our area and what does it mean for the other areas? I guess that is my question.
yeah. Do I have a good answer for you?
I also don't have an answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We will take that away. We've been talking about, what this means for people. Because what we have in the current OCBs, for example, in the Alberni Valley, we have things like a 10-meter fuel-free area should be kept between a house and a working forest, but we don't enforce that anyway. So in including those types of policies and then us ignoring it, are we creating risk for ourselves? And I don't think we want to create a situation where we tell people, okay, now you need to manage your property in this way. I think what it is an informational thing. I think we let them know that we have fire smart principles and we have people who can advise us on that. And just so you know, you're within this area.
Kel has their.
Kel, you got a comment on that?
Yes, so I've had a fire smart evaluation done on my property at home in Qualicum. Actually, there was 15 or 16 different firefighters from communities around the area to come in and do an evaluation. And just a bit of a heads up for everybody because of my involvement with it. I know that we have a fellow in Salmon Beach who's quite interested. He's a firefighter who's quite interested in it, and hopefully we'll have a fire smart evaluation done on the community. One of the issues that is starting to rear up its ugly face is the insurance companies. If you are in a fire smart community or in a community that has a lot of potential hazards from fire, there's a good possibility that you will be advised by your insurance company at some point in the near future. And I see the gentleman from Mosaic sort of shaking his head a little bit looking at it, but he knows as well that it's going to be affected. So if you live in a forested area, as a lot of people do in Area C, you want to pay attention to the proximity to your homes and what's growing there. And if your fire insurance or your insurance company requires a fire smart evaluation, it would be a good idea to pay attention to it at the present time instead of waiting. So just a heads up for everybody. Thank you.
Thanks, Carl.
Appreciate that, Kel. And we do have, we have fire smart people at the ACRD now. So I think linking the OCP to those types of things that, encourage people to get assessments, I think makes sense. Just don't really want to create a situation where we require it. It sounds like insurance companies maybe starting to do that work for us, anyway, so.
How do we become a fire smart community? Because if you put in that, I did see that in here as well. How do we go about doing that as a community? Is that something that ACRD supports, or is it something that we have to do as a little community group, or?
Yeah, I think it's all of the above, yeah, so we do you need to apply to the fire smart folks to be recognized as a fire smart community. I think what we're doing, like a lot of communities are, is we have a grant that has enabled us to hire the right people, and we produce education materials and things, so we do the assessments on people's properties. And I don't know how well it's been used here on the West Coast, but in the Alberni Valley, I know it has been well used. Again, we're never going to get everything there, but a lot of the public facilities for sure that we've done, and then there has been some uptake in the private sector as well. And then if we decide, that's a route we want to do, then I think we would be looking for some leadership from the fire smart personnel we have in the region.
We had several done for our community. We did take up, lots of people did take up the offer of that.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so sort of along the lines is it does talk about specifically the Area C Long Beach Community Wildfire Resiliency Plan and some of those key pieces within it there. But they're very well many more things within that plan. That would drive that work. The intention with having that in this is that by having the OCP also back these sorts of plans and things, it just provides a little bit more weight to them. So if there are grant opportunities, other kinds of things, it will support that as well.
Just under resilient infrastructure, I was just wondering if we shouldn't sort of make a comment about, limiting heavy industrial developments and critical infrastructure to that non-Suzanne, non-Suzanne. Because we could have real big messes otherwise.
Yeah. So critical infrastructure outside the tsunami area.
And any heavy industrial, like if you've got. Welding. Oh, I was thinking something using asbestos and it floating all up the harbor. I don't want it floating my way. I've got enough styrofoam right now. Thank you very much. From all the docks that were supposed to be towed out, they weren't.
Okay.
That's gonna be an issue over here on the other side, all up the harbor. All of those docks that were from the Canadian Princess, loaded down.
Yeah, oh, did they? I've seen
they're all
some big
styrofoam.
white boxes from my place towards your place on the river. Are they all broken down?
They're all, and yeah, they're big chunks are coming out from under these docks, we're just like, oh. Now it's all floating away.
Alrighty, anything else on emergency management, or we get to move on to growth? So this section is really intended to make sure that there is room for growth that happens in a sustainable manner. That was really the key sort of message I got out of when I went back and reread through this section. So we talk a little bit, it is a bit short, so we're just talking about some of the areas that were identified, in terms of that process. Are there any comments, on that section?
Is that a good place to plonk my film comment? Does that make sense?
Growth management.
I was thinking the employment and economy.
Yeah,
tab, that's
okay.
probably where we would plug that in. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. For some reason, I thought an arrow under future development. Page 133, that a. Doesn't make sense to me now, but it said, I put in and access to equivalent to FEMA water line. Oh, okay, so if we've got the water line that goes from the junction to town, so anybody that's along that presumably connect, so densification could happen along that line, that's what I was getting at.
There's a-
Crossed my
there's-
mind right there, but
There's a restriction,
on the accessing that line?
yes.
Ooh, how
You'd have to,
interesting.
I don't, there used to be,
Yeah.
but you'd have to contact the district, and also. That water's linked up right through to the park, to the top of the park. That's where the park is getting its water from our aquifer.
Oh, so there's way more on that.
Yes, so with some people thinking north of us, that pipe can just go. I think it was all around Kennedy Lake when they were doing the testing, but the park is hooked up into our aquifer.
Oh,
Are they hooked up through their own well or through?
Yeah, the well
Yeah.
is, the well's where the really, really old information center is,
Yeah, like down to the right.
Yeah.
And,
right past the bridge.
Yeah, they got that water tower there.
Yeah, I think having that water line, there is an agreement that, the ACRD has with the district of Eagle that allows for one connection per property along there, and it's an old agreement, and a lot of the properties are connected. Where it comes up is subdivision, of course, right? So we said that those people want to subdivide, and then the district, is not compelled to give them that unless they negotiate, so.
oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so any development or densification has to go through Euclid.
That's right, yeah.
And BC Hydro, BC Hydro put a water line from the highway out to their new thing along,
Yeah, on the way.
the highway. So a couple of people who live on Port Albion Road contacted them and they wanted way too much, like it wasn't feasible to hook into that, because they wanted to be recouped for the money that they spent on it,
Okay.
putting it
gotcha.
on.
Well, my understanding too is it's like insanely expensive to hook into the water line anyway, if you're on the
Other
east
side of
side of the road. Cause you have to have some like super special drilling equipment.
We did it at our place. It was pretty ad hoc. It went under the road. And, the bike path wasn't there yet, but it went under the road and then it went to 3 houses. But there's probably way more rules now
Yeah,
to
yeah.
do it.
Yeah. You're lucky you got slipping under the wire in there.
Yeah, they're gonna well. Yeah, with honey wells and the water system, it's a small water system.
Alrighty. Moving over to housing and affordability. So this is a section that we talked a lot about. And I know there was conversation, probably quite a bit of conversation in community as well about how do we look for opportunities to meet the needs of community, but also in ways that the community really needs and is thinking about. So there's a couple pieces in here that I thought I would highlight. One is a focus on collaboration and exploring opportunities for housing that serves major employers in the region, for non-market or supportive housing options, and for accessible housing. As well, under the short-term rentals section, there is terminology around short-term rentals operated by a principal resident who resides on the property. So what we heard was, we wanted to have that option available for folks, but not necessarily for people to just buy a property, buy a short-term rental it and leave. So that is the language that has been, put in there. There's also language around the zoning updates, that would be needed to sort of clearly establish where short-term rentals would be permitted, as well as all our own need to meet the Short-Term Rental Accommodations Act. So I didn't know if there maybe would be more conversation on that section because of that, but I just wanted to make sure folks have that drawn to their attention, that this is the place in the plan where that is.
With the new, requirement to register with the province for your short-term rentals, so they're looking at that between the ACRD and the province.
Mhm.
2 eyes on you.
Yeah, we have support enforcement actions taken by the province to
Mhm,
ensure
okay.
compliance. Yeah.
I did have one comment around, you mentioned sufficient servicing capacity on throughout these.
Mhm.
And I kind of thought, well, that applies to water, sewage, garbage, all that kind of stuff. But also, we have trouble accessing emergency services. So there isn't an emergency services agreement or anything throughout where we are. But I would think that that's really important, that areas are able to have that as part of their servicing requirement, because it's a nightmare when you just don't know who to get hold of when you've got an emergency, because nobody covers that area. And it could be ambulance, it could be search and rescue, it could be, I don't know, fire, all of those sorts of type services. They're really hard for some areas to access because they're not within an agreement. So that I think that should come under servicing as well.
Okay.
Just one thing, I think I'm still reading through it, but, for the housing affordability, there's a lot of stuff on rural and residential lots. But there's nothing on, commercial lots. Or I don't see language on. And that's one thing, like I don't do short-term housing or long-term housing, but I do like have seasonal staff. That I have like 18 staff that I employ my campground.
I might be wrong, but I think,
There's another
there
campground
might-
right next to me that does it too in a very different way. That maybe is not the best. I think it's probably some language for both of us. Yeah.
Mhm.
think that's fair.
Yeah, I think there may possibly be something about staff housing in the employment and economy section, but we can certainly look at how to include language around the commercial laws.
I think having that in the housing section makes sense too, right? Because that is a
Housing.
important housing.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, part of our long-term plan would be to like, because we have a ton of land, not a ton of money. But there's lots of opportunity for me to provide housing for like other businesses. And many times I'll hire employees to do part-time at my place and a part-time somewhere else. But I could, what we've always wanted to do is make a section of our campground where we have seasonal staff and rent that out to different businesses around, and they just have their lot, but and they put their staff there.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, all it costs is money.
Oh, yeah. We've got lots of ideas.
Utilities don't think allowed that at all.
Yeah, it's
Easy to put words on paper, how to
make it happen.
make it happen.
Yeah.
I see a couple of places in here where we could be more specific with the language that would encompass that, for sure.
Yeah.
But, any other thoughts on this section? Oh. On to employment and economy. This section, as indicated, speaks to, the economy. So there are a few different sections within it. Looking at partnerships, sort of employment uses and home occupations. This is looking to support home occupations on all rural and residential lands and support home industries on lands larger than 2 hectares. So the difference between those is within the definitions. And looking at sort of prioritizing, bylaw updates with that. From my perspective, the section on, responsible tourism, I am curious for your thoughts on. So we heard that managing tourism related development is very important to the community. And we heard a desire to focus tourism within Millstream and the Junction. We didn't hear a lot of specifics about how that would play out by the community. So I'm curious if in terms of the language of these 5 points you see within the responsible tourism section, if we feel that that is meeting what community would hope for. From that section.
Tourism, but commercial stuff and.
No, it was mainly talking about like ecotourism, some like where we would want like a bed and breakfast versus not want these kinds of activities. Yeah, and so, I mean, for the most part, it is focused on like, commercial tourism, like in sort of the junction and Millstream area, and like lower impact opportunity and amenities, so it wasn't super clear what we were hearing from the community, so we attempted to put some language around it to see if we are in the right place, or if there are areas for change.
I think one of the things for me is that both Tofino and Ucluelet are part of the resort municipality initiative. So with that, there a certain amount of accommodation has to be tourist accommodation and all the rest of it. And then, but for area C, and with that comes grants for things like recreational infrastructure and things. But area C is not RMI area. And so you could have all of this tourism stuff, but then we're not benefiting from money and grants and being able to improve infrastructure in the same way as Tofino and Ucluelet. So I think that's a really tough one, that we're sandwiched between these 2 resort municipalities and they can access funds and Area C can't unless it does some kind of amazing collaboration with them both. So I don't know how that pays out economically for Area C. Because Ucluelet's got the skate park and Amphitrite House, and it's got the Wild Pacific Trail and various other things that all benefited from this RMI funding. but I don't see that Area C would be able to access that,
Mhm.
even though if it was trying to promote tourism activities.
Mhm.
So I don't know how you balance that with the OCP.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, we should have less access to those types of things. One of the things that the ACRD could do is an MRDT. Where we have the hotel tax essentially on short-term rentals. The ACRD hasn't done that yet, but that could be something like that. It's a little bit different than the resort municipality initiative, but is a tool that is underutilized, I think, on that. If we're looking at using that money to develop something, a lot of communities use it to develop housing, for example. You know, it would be a pretty small number in our area. The bulk of that is within the municipalities, but we do speak to that in here as well. So, yeah, we can look at it through the resort municipality lens and see if there's any sort of benefits that we can see in the rural areas from what's going on in the municipalities.
Any other thoughts on either this particular section or this employment and economy section as a whole? Does it feel, I guess within regards to this specific section, is it feeling like that is meshing with what you've heard in your own communities? Or do you think it needs more thought? This is a section we will bring out to community when we bring the draft out, to see what their commentary is on, and if we have adequately met what their expectations were when they provided that feedback to us. But any thoughts you have?
I just have a question, and it's just a question, like, so we do have community forests
Mhm.
that are supporting workers and communities, like community building here. But all of the infrastructure in Euclid Inlet has been wiped away. So when I said I haven't seen any trucks going out on the community forest, so how are they getting the logs out?
They're not logging. Not in the community forest at the moment.
No, but if they do,
They helicopter, he's on the board.
it's gonna always be on a helicopter? Yikes.
I'm sure it will
Logs.
be. No, do you think they'd put roads back in?
Well, where are you talking about? Where are you talking about?
I don't know, I just know there's community forests, and I just wonder when they do harvest, there is no infrastructure to take them out by water anymore, so I'm just wondering.
They use Toquat, their log store, and that area there.
Yeah, they go the other way.
Oh, thank you, see, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's what I needed to know, thank
Yeah.
you, okay,
But you're
so
right.
there is
I don't think
infrastructure.
there's any harvest happening.
No, at the moment.
No, not at the moment, but just for future, like, if we are going to continue to get benefits from these community forests, how do they? Do we just set up our own mills locally, or?
You can,
That was
talk to
safe.
Julia, they're on the board.
Oh, there you go,
There you
okay.
go, he's not smart.
Okay. Just,
Yeah,
I have no idea what plans are. Yeah.
Yeah, they're not harvesting at the moment, and there is a planned forest. I should send it to you.
Okay,
I'll send it.
speaking to that is important though, and like we do have some forestry related activities, policies in here, and one of the main objectives is to maintain the area's natural resource land base and preserve its resource value and potential. So,
Yeah.
you know, that can speak to a need for infrastructure and that for future uses. I think we can look at policies.
Yeah, it sounds like development has happened that is sort of compensated for what we've lost, so.
Alrighty, do we wanna move on to transportation, utilities and services, everyone's favorite topic?
How do you know that?
Alrighty, yeah, so this section, as it indicates, speaks to some of the transportation pieces around, collaborations with various governments, consider developing a transportation plan. It also speaks to the road network map, which is in this file. Which basically just sorts the roads into 3 different types of main road. And so that can be found on this map. For the folks online, you won't have a copy of that one, but we will post it online for you. Speaking to like highways, arterials, and then sort of unpaved resource roads that are main sources of transportation right now. So Maggie Lake, FSR, branch 2 and 4 have been brought forward by, Topot as a priority for them to get, better results on. So we have some language in here about that. As well as, I don't know if it's in here, Barkley was brought up in our last meeting with them. That they are also looking at as well. So there will be some language in here just to support them with their conversations in terms of getting a little bit better maintenance and or road types on there. We also have some language in here around marine-based transportation. So we had heard some interest around developing more marine-based, I guess, ways of moving around. And maybe I'll let Alex speak to that a little bit, because we did hear a little bit of concern around just the way that it's written right now, which I would agree is also a little bit confusing. So we're working on that, so I will maybe let Alex.
Yeah, we did, so the reference to facilitate the development of an integrated marine highway network. And that was something that was discussed in the current OCP. And I don't think it's intending to deal with marine access to the lands of yet, because we don't functionally have marine access to those water access only areas. Looking at Salmon Beach right now and Katsu Bay, functionally that network is accessed by these logger roads and these reserve roads that has highlighted. So we want to shift the wording there a little bit, you know, recognizing that it is a water-based community, obviously, and having access to water for the public is important. Having access to those lands and those the islands, for example, that we have in the plan area, but really wanted to focus improvements on areas where you can drive to these communities, because that's how 99% of people access them. So wanting to, like we said, align with the efforts of our First Nations partners in their lobbying to see improvements. And I think we have seen some over the years, and it sounds like more coming, which is good news. But also recognizing that, you know, we're seeing more development since 2007. There's certainly has been significant development out in the more remote areas, whether it's building at Salmon Beach or you know, development in the Itatu area or, you know, on Topot lands as well. So we'd like to see something there. Again, a lot of these road network plans are aspirational. We don't have any direct control over them, but the province does look at these things fairly closely when they're looking at ways to improve.
So I guess within that, there's sort of a question around like, one, do we feel that this is something that we still want to highlight and talk about? And if so, is there a specific part of it that is important?
I think this might have come up when we were discussing the Barkley Lady Rose system that used to come out to Ucluelet. And in the old days, there was a boat that would service all of the communities up along the coast. So people got used to that as a service. And then I don't think it even comes to Ucluelet anymore. But apparently you can, like, through the ferry system, I think Housing gets some of their water taxes get supplemented through BC ferries. So that's a possibility. I think this all came, I might be wrong, but I think this came up when there was discussion around having that Lady Rose company have this additional money that it could service some of these other communities back out to Ucluelet again. Is that where that came up from?
It might have, yeah, for sure.
I think that's where it came up from.
And so is this something that we want to continue to include in the plan
I think,
this way?
like, as a charity, we can lobby for additional funding through BC Ferries, should it become a concern of any community.
For emergencies. like for
Emergency, like,
emergency.
yeah, perfect example for when Banfield fire happened, yeah. Yeah, so that would be, I think, the role that ACRD would take on, is lobbying for BC Ferries funding in order to support emergency access for people.
So we can definitely give that one a rewrite, it sounds like.
Yeah, yeah,
In terms of.
I was thinking, oh, wouldn't that be great, but I'm thinking, well, yeah, that was back in the days when there weren't roads.
Yeah. For sure, for sure.
But yeah, I think that's probably where it came up.
Okay.
Nikki, how are you feeling about roads? How are the roads are your ladies?
How am I feeling about that?
Yeah.
They're nice. I don't have a boat, so
Yeah.
I appreciate the roads. I think that my understanding is it's very difficult to arrange this road access out to our community, because it goes through private lands, it goes through crown lands, it goes through treaty lands, and it's really, really hard to negotiate an access agreement that would allow the road to go right the way through. And if you can come up or help lobby for that or something, and I think that would be a good thing. But I do think also we see every year a number of horrific accidents on the road, with people going too fast or not knowing the road, or just sheer stupidity. There's also a little bit of a mentality about no one knows what goes on in the back road, so anything goes. So I do think it does need looking at, but I think the safety thing as well is really, really important. Yeah. And some of the accidents we've seen recently, they're just, yeah.
And there are full-time campers on
Oh, yeah, we do, yeah. Yeah, we see that as well. But I think, yeah, the road, it would be good, if we're gonna have communities out there, I mean, I think a road should be a realistic option. But I don't think water access only is realistic for people.
So it's more of an advocacy role than.
Yeah, I think so.
Bring people together.
It's it's so complicated bringing all these different landowners together that or you can do that, I think.
So that leads you to D, develop a transportation master plan.
Alan, do you have any comments?
Yeah, with regards to some of the back roads, including the Barkley Main, while the Ministry of Forests has agreed to maintain both the Tocourt or the Maggie Forest Service Road and the Barkley Main twice a month to have it graded, it's all weather dependent. However, there are sections, and that one section that comes off of the Port Albion Road that ties into the Barkley Main is not being graded on a regular basis. And that is because that section of road was put in to run the hydro pools by BC Hydro. I'd like to see some collaboration there and maybe have the ACRD's input with regards to having that maintained on a regular basis as the rest of the Barkley Forest Service Road is maintained. Otherwise, you know, as I'm sure that anybody that travels it, including Nikki and others that come into to and from Salmon Beach, or even as an emergency alternate route from Tocourt, from the village into Ucluelet, it's important that that be maintained on a regular basis for emergency purposes and others. So there's a couple of items in there that I think we should have a look at and see if we can come to some kind of conclusion on it. Thank you.
That's the Ucluelet territory,
Okay,
that road. It's within Ucluelet territory.
that's great feedback. Thank you, Kellen.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts? So under developing a transportation master plan, it should be like bringing in the Ucluelet and with all the different. Anybody who's going to develop the plan would know about it.
Alrighty, any other thoughts on servicing, infrastructure, management of solid waste is on your next page for that
Oh,
section.
yeah, the management of solid waste, shouldn't that be like far away planning around an old mine site or something that doesn't have, we don't have to worry about the leachate eventually? Cause what is the final year of the, or like,
West Coast Central, I'm
yeah,
not sure what the end date of that is, right now, the leachate is managed, right, so
it is now,
It is very
but
carefully
yeah,
managed, for
yeah.
sure, I'm sure when it was first developed, it wasn't.
no.
Yeah,
It's
so
very boggy and.
we do, like, the solid waste management plan is a separate project on this, but the OCP does need to fall in line with that, so, we've referred this internally to our solid waste team as well, but the idea with that is that, you need to be able to manage growth, if you're making this growth. And the solid waste that goes along with that, right? So we'll make sure that we line it up with any plans for the lifespan of that, but don't think it's way.
So I wonder if it should be put into the official community plan that we should make arrangements around if there is an increase in industrial activity, that we have an alternate landfill site that we could approach whatever, whoever's, if it's Crown land, that has sort of a rock base, so we don't have these same worries about. An old mine would be perfect, except for the mine that has the red-legged toads now.
Barb won't let you near that.
What's that?
Barb Beasley won't let you near it.
Oh, I know, but
Yeah.
you know what I mean, and looking for a place that isn't a bogland, that for future.
Yeah.
Just if it's like it should go in the OCP now, I think.
Yeah, for sure, that's that long-term vision,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. And if we do have increased industrial activity, our landfill cannot deal with that.
We will be sure. Actually, why don't you phone Barbie if we ask her?
Yeah, oh, can we use it? The only habitat left for the red-legged toad?
Barb, if you're watching this, don't worry, we're not gonna do that.
Alrighty. That brings us to our last section within these four policies, which is the agriculture and food security portion. This speaks to local food systems and regional food systems, and this was really brought forward by our sustainability planner, who is has been doing a lot of work on food security and other types of planning, both within the West Coast area and the Alberni Valley. So, any thoughts on this section?
I think a lot of food security is gonna go around, ocean based, like anything that's bigger production.
Yeah.
Um. Yeah, Worcester, culture place in Bath, amazing. Have you seen that?
I have
That's what I'd like to see.
But,
Yeah.
understand. Very cool.
Alrighty. If there's no more comments on that, we can move into part 3, all the fun stuff,
All of the getting down to the nitty gritty.
all of the nitty gritty. So part 3 is really where we get into our temporary use permits, where we get into the development permit areas. So these are areas that have basically restrictions and thought processes, more in-depth conversation required around them, if you were going to develop within them. So previously, The development permit areas, we had 6 of them. Those have been amalgamated down into 2. So one looks at environmental protection and one looks at natural hazards. And so this was hoping that it would help sort of better reflect the needs of people when they're developing their land. So the DPAs are on the table here. This first section is just on temporary use permits. There's not really much of a change from anything we've seen previously. So unless there is sort of specific commentary on that one, we can probably just hop it right over into the development.
So TUPs are gonna be, continue to be used for the, okay, but there's a 3-year limit on those, right?
Mhm.
What are we doing?
There we go. There we
Yeah.
go.
Oh, okay, so it's 3 years with a renewal. Gotcha. And how many renewals do they get?
Well, there's the one, but,
And if they change, oh, yeah, we had that recently,
Yeah.
didn't we?
Mhm.
Yeah.
there's also an argument for issuing a new TUP or a TUP with different conditions as well. I think what we've been using it as a tool, as you all know, to manage short-term rentals, and I think it works reasonably well. But what does that look like beyond the first issuance and the first renewal? And we're approaching that, and we actually have a couple in the Long Beach area that have gotten the 6-year window now, and now they're looking to apply again. So we are gonna be getting an opinion on that through the OCP update, whether we can keep issuing those temporary use permits. I also think that we need to go back, we will be going back to the board to talk about how we manage short-term rentals, based on the feedback we've received here and at the board table, lots of discussion around supporting the homeowners that want to rent as a supplementary to their primary residence, rather than having the mini hotels that are purpose-built for this type of thing, right? So more to come on that for sure. But yeah, for the time being, I think the temporary use permit is a good tool to manage that, because the rezoning is, we don't have the flexibility within the rezoning to manage those effectively.
Okay.
And you're stuck with that too. Once we issue that, then that is runs with the land, and the ACRB doesn't have the ability to pull it away if there's an issue. Not that that's happened much, but it's nice to have the flexibility to do that.
Okay, gotcha.
Any other questions on TUPs?
No, that has just come up. People said, well, what do you do when?
Exactly. Perfect. Alrighty, so let's move into some of these development permit areas. So I mentioned that we have amalgamated the 6 original DPAs into 2. We have also added a 3rd DPA, which is our form and character development permit area, and this is mainly around the highway and over towards the junk. I'm gonna pull these maps out because I think they probably speak to better than I can.
Intention of the farm character development permit area is to manage how more intensive uses are developed within the region. So things like commercial uses, industrial, multifamily, residential. Along the highway border, we would have the ability to require landscape planning for that and screening from the road. What the build form of the building would look like, so that the front gets all that sort of stuff, lighting. Basically would just be a aesthetic feel of that development and what we envision in the OCD is if anything within 50 meters, 50 meters of the highway. And then looking at something like these. The piece south of the junction as well that might incorporate a bit more of that. So it could impact the campgrounds, for example, and in sense that we would be looking at regulating how the signage looks like, how the access. What's in it, and the property would look. So there's any landscaping, but it intended to form the aesthetic feel from the highway. It's not intended to do with things in that or those developments, if that makes any sense. But it's something we have more commonly in the more developed areas, but you look at Victoria Creek in the Alberta Valley, a lot of the commercial businesses along highway quarter have development permits that we've issued. It's not something that,
So is this the Emmy's talking?
Go to having
Yeah.
commercial uses out of this big campsites.
There's no.
junction on the street.
But looking into
There's
25
not
years
right
in the
now.
future,
No,
It's just
oh, in the
for
future,
the,
okay,
for-
thanks.
yeah, this mainly this
Okay.
portion.
Are there
Yeah.
earmarks on the highway to be capital?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So these are the maps here, that outline basically where it looks like at the junction here. And as Alex said, the idea is to maintain that wild West Coast feel that we're hearing about so much in our, engagement. And pass that over, if those are helpful. These are a bit zoomed in, but that's the main one.
A bigger one, and he's a disease.
Those ones show the future lines as well, or just that it,
DB 1 and 2 are here.
That's good.
Haven't found them yet.
Gotcha.
I stumbled one.
And there'll be communication with, you cool with that too, because,
Correct, yeah, I mean, our OC wouldn't apply to the,
yeah, but it would be nice if it was tight and
yeah, for sure,
if it conformed.
line that up. So the other piece is the sensitive ecosystem development area, that's intended to deal with, riparian areas, so riparian areas from the freshwater creeks in the region, as well as from the natural boundary in the ocean, so that'd be any development within 30 meters. So natural and water features would require the, qualified environmental professional to assess it and make sure that it's not having negative impacts. That is pretty standard wording that was included in the previous OCD as well.
Sorry, I think this is maybe, no? There we are, DPA 1. Okay, so this one here is our DPA 1. This is environmental protection. So this is the main map, and then it divides out into the different sections. Each section is laid out with the, so initially the old DPAs, it would have been, these would have all been separate DPAs.
Right.
So we've just amalgamated them into one and they're laid out on the maps as such. So this one's for environmental protection, and then the one up top right there is for natural hazards.
Cool. I'll remember who elderly has been. Sun Beach.
And then this one is for natural hazards, so this is looking at the wildfire human interface, tsunami hazards, and the steep slopes. Within this one,
It's getting those sensitive terrestrial habitat.
Yeah, that says I am. I want to look into that for you, for sure. Yeah, I mean, we've got where we have repairing areas, right, because we've got the wet area in the back, right, that makes sense. Yeah, we don't speak to sensitive terrestrial habitats specifically in here. That is just a mapping data set that our Jack says included there, so. I do want to look at that just to see what the impacts would have. It's not included in the development permit wording, so we wouldn't require a development permit for that. But I don't want to include that on a map if it's not something that we march through the house.
Yeah, because that covers,
We can circle back on that.
and these ones as well, is it?
yeah, those are for the natural hazard areas.
I'm trying to figure out.
No, it's fine, leave them, spread them out as needed. I knew there was a couple under there. Left, so.
The other pieces on the EPA 1 would be the wellhead protection area, so there is some mapping on this one, you can see this.
Okay, so-
And then there's also some watershed protection on the Cow Creek watershed. That's in.
Yeah.
Watershed.
Yeah, I believe so.
Any development within those lands, so that includes land clearing or building or any significant vegetation removal would require support from the biologists in those schools. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's.
75%.
There, I love it right there.
So these sections probably have the most language around each piece.
Yes, very well done.
Yeah. So if there are any particular points anyone would like to speak to, feel free to.
Thank you. Look at it. Thanks.
Right. I mean.
Can I ask, can I ask a question?
Sorry, for
Yeah, just a general,
Yes.
question. So in your environmental protection DPA one, yeah, you guys talk about asking for a cost estimate from a QEP, and then that basically forms the basis for security for landscaping works. But I didn't see that in the form and character section. So you asked for a plan, like a landscape plan. But unless I'm missing it, there's no requirement for any sort of security to ensure that the landscape is installed.
Yeah, that's an oversight. It should be in there.
Oh,
So
okay.
the idea would be if we're requiring a landscape plan for a intensive commercial development, that to ensure that it happens, that we'd be accepting that financial security will be returned to the applicant once they do it.
Okay, anybody that's doing commercial along that corridor.
That's right.
Okay, gotcha. So that it's consistent. Yeah, that
Yeah,
makes sense.
and that is something we may require for environmental protection as well. I don't see it being used in every case. If it's you get the biologist on site to say, I'd like to build this house, and, they make some recommendations on what to do around that, I think that's fine. If it's a site that's been significantly altered and now you hire somebody to create a remediation plan for you, then we probably require security for remediation. Yeah. It's just an extra tool to allow us to ensure that it happens. And then I think we would like to be doing some more follow-up on those as well, because typically what happens, we issue the development permit that has the biologist report attached to it, and they say, yeah, you go ahead, you're allowed to remove these trees as long as you plant some trees elsewhere, and without a building permit, nobody else will return to that site, right? So we'll find a way to close that loop.
Oh, that'd be really welcome.
Mhm.
Yeah, to close that loop, because, there's definitely cases where that's been missing.
Yeah,
Yeah, that oversight.
it's a resource issue, but it is.
Yeah, I can imagine, but yeah.
One other question. So under natural hazard, so there's the reference to the QEP providing an assessment to ensure that, the site is safe to build on, especially on a steep slope. So I guess my question is that the right discipline? Is typically you'd have a geotech take a look at those challenging areas to see whether you can actually put a building on there. And they would be the ones qualified to look at the soil conditions to make sure that the building doesn't slide off the side of the hill.
Mhm.
Yeah, I know in our conversations about the laying out the specifics of you need a biologist, you need a geotech, you need that, we sort of encompass that within a qualified environment professional. So if their qualifications are for what we're talking about, so in that case,
Right,
a
okay.
geotech, they would be the appropriate one to contact. If we feel that it would be more helpful to lay it out specifically to which specific sector and which specific professional, under which circumstances folks should be going to. I mean, we are able to go that route, or if it just needs to be maybe a little bit clearer in the beginning when we have those definitions. as
Maybe,
to
yeah, in the
this is what
definition,
that is
because
referring
the
to.
definition just says qualified environmental professional,
Okay.
right? And so when I think of a qualified environmental professional,
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking about folks that are qualified to look at the birds and the bees
Biologists.
and the biologists, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to the soils.
For sure. Yeah, so let's get more specific then about how we're using that term, absolutely. Cause I know we did have that exact conversation, cause we're starting to list them all, we're like, does this make sense just to say you know what you need to do, find the qualified environmental?
At least we did
Sure.
have a qualified
Professional,
professional.
yeah. Yeah,
And also your language is different from, say, our language. You're in your little municipal world or whatever, you're in the district world, and we're just lay people, so you kind of spell it out to us and we'll get it. If you see what I mean.
Well, yeah, and that's actually a really good point, because that is a lens that we've been looking at this through, that accessibility piece, right? That accessibility is also readability, and so we're trying to make improvements there, so that is helpful feedback for.
Do you think that qualified professional would make more sense than, since QEP has a?
Initially, that's what I was thinking, and maybe perhaps it should be qualified professional.
Okay.
But then the onus is on staff or the regional district to specify
Exactly.
what qualified professionals
Yeah.
you need on that side.
Yeah, well, we're hoping that the zoom in of the maps as well will help folks, instead of seeing it at this level, I'm being like, what do I have to do? That's seeing it at this, like, oh, okay, this one thing is what is affecting my property, and also for staff, we'll be able to see, oh, this one thing, this is who you would need to come. We're hoping that we can help sort out, because I know that there have been questions around the qualified professional piece.
And so on the natural hazards then, so we do have some steep slope mapping, as we mentioned, we also have the tsunami inundation zone, so that would be a similar thing, that we'd be looking for a report from the geotechnical engineer to verify that the state of that intended use. We have some experience with that in the North Stream area.
My house is underwater.
Mhm.
Oh, man. You say.
So's Vedas.
Is it? I don't think so. How many
On this
feet
map
is
it is.
Oh, is it? Am I sinking? I got a boat out front just in case. Every single one is sitting there.
I believe this 20 meter is what we used for the tsunami hazard.
Yeah, which is again, something that we are discussing, the 20 meter standard is the provincial standard from the Green Provincial Emergency Management Program. Some of the West Coast communities use a lower standard because they don't have that amplifying effect that we have in the operating environment, so. But in the absence of any, we haven't done any modeling or anything like that. I know the District of Euclid has a little bit though, so yeah, we're gonna be, as part of the referral process, we're having some discussions with First Nations and Euclid and Tofino about, what they use for tsunami. I think that, I mean, if 20 meters is an unreasonable number, then we can certainly look and make some changes there, but that's not a number we came up with, that was one that.
Yeah.
From came out, and it's
Mhm.
high tide to height, it's
Yeah.
not.
Mhm.
Yes.
Certainly, a 20 meter tsunami would be a real problem.
But we went with the 20 because that is what the province backed, then we were unable to find what made them change to 13. On some of the ones that had, so that's why we have left it at the safe level that the province has outlined.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you put fault lines on here as well? Thinking of tsunamis and earthquakes.
I'm sure there's one behind my house.
No, we do not outline fault lines on the map.
There's no DPA for like, this is the massive fault line, keep away. I guess you don't know what's gonna happen, do you? You don't know where,
I think the sense is a little bit that if there's a massive earthquake, we're all kind of like,
Yeah. Well, actually, the other side, plates go like this, I think, if this is the island, so we're going up in the air. Remember those,
Petroglyphs.
petroglyphs are up in the air?
alrighty, well, that brings us to the end of this wonderful journey.
That's,
Um,
really good.
You will find in the very back of your package, a couple of different appendixes. These appendices are the background research that already went to the board, that you will have read. Looking at some of the important information about the community, different demographics, etc., from when this plan will have been done. So that will hopefully help in the future inform any of that work. As well, the second appendix, appendix B, is our policy actions and initiatives timeline. So this is a bit of a layout of all of the things that we would like to do within this plan and when we anticipate being able to do those. So some of them are more short term, so we expect to do them in the next maybe few years. Some of them are ongoing, some of them are long-term, as this is an aspiration for if we have funding, if we're able to do these sorts of things. So that is all in this last section here. Yeah, but this is basically a repeat of what you would have already have read. Itself. Yeah, and then section 10, no, I don't know what section 10 is here. How to amend the plan, that should be me. Back into the plan. But otherwise. That,
Before we ask for any final feedback, do you want to highlight what our next steps are, just so we're
for sure.
off of it, so you know. This isn't our last time in the community yet.
No, it isn't. So, this week our plan will be to take all of the information that we've heard from you lovely folks tonight and incorporate, change around the plan. It will be going, to the public within the next week. Hopefully, fingers crossed, at the end of next week, we'll be able to get that out to community. We do have a couple folks on vacation right now, so everything, you know, all timelines going perfectly, that's our plan. We will then be going out to the community at the end of the month, so we'll have an in-person session. That will be similar to what we had tonight, where I will run through some of the different sections of the plan, what folks can, should have expected from it, and then we'll have some boards out where folks can comment on different sections, areas that need more community, I guess, guidance towards them, such as that one section we talked about for a bit early today. And then we are hoping to go to the board for first reading at the end of the week. All things.
Will we be able to put, will I be able to put it on the Sand Beach Village Facebook page for people to review?
Absolutely, yeah.
Fantastic idea, yeah, once
you.
we get the next draft by the end of next week, for sure, it's an awesome.
Thank
idea.
you.
Yeah, we will absolutely get that out to you. But that is the plan we are hoping to be able to fulfill for you all in the next couple months here.
Can we avoid holidays like spring break and
Mhm.
Easter? Because
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of people away and also a lot of people are preparing their businesses as well. So it's a really busy time for people.
Yeah, we are not, we're gonna be out in community the week after spring break.
The last week of March, isn't
The
it?
last,
March
the
24th.
24th
Okay,
is when we are currently planned for. We did try to take into consideration spring break and some of the holiday times and fitting us in there in the middle. Yeah, and so there will be a period of they will get the plan online first, so you'll have lots of time to look at it as they would like to do. We'll have the in-person in case folks want more information, and we would love, obviously, for everyone to come out and talk to us and share their ideas. And then we'll continue that online portion. That will close. We'll finish up some of those last missing touches, and then you will see us at the board for first reading. After that point, after first reading, we will go to a public hearing. So if there is anything that folks feel we've completely missed the mark, which I'm not getting the sense tonight that we have completely missed the mark anywhere, they will have the opportunity to speak to that, and then we move ahead. And we have a new plan, hopefully.
A couple other pieces on that too, we do have, the conversations with the 3 First Nations that are impacted by the plan are ongoing, so. They have seen the plans, but we are sending updated plans and meeting, with them as well. We're also, we'll be conducting legal reviews. We've got a lawyer that will read it, make sure that we're saying the right things that we need to be saying. And they're looking at it from the technical aspects of what we're allowed to do and not allowed to do. And then the final one would be once we get to first reading, ideally at the end of April, there is a formal referral process that goes ahead of the public hearing as well, and that's where we'll blast it out to all the agencies that are impacted, the provincial ministries, the school district, the governments here on the West Coast as well, federal agencies, you know, some of the key partners in the region, like Mosaic, you know, the key employers in the region. And, yeah, and then that's the intention there is to lead up to the public hearing where we will be receiving all of the final comments and everything from both the public and the agencies at the same time. So hopefully by then, we are in pretty good shape. If not, we will know.
With the public hearing in person.
We will be,
Yes.
yes.
I think this is way better than more.
Any other comments, questions?
Then should I hand it back to our?
Oh, sure. I will tell you.
Here we go.
Thank you. We've had our reports, thank you very much. Any late business, anyone? Thank you for not talking to late business. And, okay, I'm gonna adjourn the meeting, if that's okay, everybody, at 19:56. I got a time in there for you.
Perfect. Wonderful.
Thank you very much.